Hi everyone, this is Diane from Bolan-Beaty Boogie. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I started working with Marc, because I know I've written in some posts, but I've not really done a video. And I was really motivated or inspired by a video that I just saw Jamie Butler do about channeling spirit and perceiving energy and what were the differences. So I'm going to intermix some things that Jamie said based on my experience, and I'm hoping that will help anyone who is looking to channel energy themselves, or anyone who wants to get a reading, because that pertains to that situation as well. So what happened about 7 years ago, for about, I don't know, 2 weeks, all I got from spirit was listen to T-Rex, listen to T-Rex, listen to T-Rex. And I knew, I'd heard of the band. I knew the one song, Get It On. And I never really listened to T-Rex when I was growing up, and I was growing up in the 70s. Anyway, because they just weren't over in the US, as we well know. So anyway, I thought, oh gosh, okay. I'll listen to T-Rex if you just, be quiet. And so anyway, I listened to, some T-Rex, and I thought, well, this is a really, strong spirit, and who is this? And I knew nothing about the band. And then, the more we kept going, I realized, okay, this is Marc, the lead singer. I didn't know he died. Didn't know anything about him. So anyway, I was like, well, why is he here? I don't, I've never listened to you. I don't know anything about you. So the more I worked with Marc, the more obviously I realized that we had a really strong past life connection. But at the beginning, I remember asking him, I knew it was Marc, but I remember saying, oh, and I was pretty new to channeling. Well, I wasn't even channeling him at this point. I was just getting information. But I was kind of new to this. I'd done a clairvoyant course, and I was used to reading energy, and I'd done hundreds of readings. But, and I channeled some spirits, mostly just kind of miscellaneous ones that wanted to speak, and some were very profound, and other things were just random type information I was picking up. So anyway, Marc arrives, and I said, well, okay, can you answer 3 questions about yourself that I don't know? And so he gave me the 3 answers. And sometimes you can get an answer right away about what it is, because you can look them up if they're a public figure. Other things that Marc told me, I didn't find out or get a validation until 6 months later, when I heard one of his friends, or saw one of his friends on a video, and they said, oh yeah, and Marc and I did blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my god, that's what Marc told me 6 months ago. I remember asking him, can you name one of your parents? And I got, it sounded like Phyllis or Philip. His mother's name was Phyllis. So things like that. So so let's go on and listen to what Jamie has to say about trying too hard to channel spirit.
Wandering heights says, I get really excited when I start to connect. I feel like sometimes that can get in the way. Oh my God, that is a big insight right there. I feel like, okay, is there a way to express my emotions but also ground calm and open? Wandering heights, it is that neutral energy. Yes, it's called subtle light energy, because that's what we're getting in touch with. That's what we're going to extract the information from. That's the aura that shines around people, animals, plants, inanimate objects. Even this little pen has an aura. When we engage with that subtle light energy, and if you exert extreme excitement, it can pull your ability back from engaging with subtle light energy. The worst you can do, though, like, it won't totally shut you down if you're excited or joyful or laughing. It's just that you kind of rise out of the moment. You take yourself out of the focus. But if you exert trying, like, I am going to do this, I'm going to see this aura off this pen, and you're like, I'm really into it, just forget about it. Just not going to happen. Not going to go. So if you exert a lot of trying and pushing yourself to achieve something with subtle light energy, it just makes it more difficult. It's like getting stuck in quicksand. So I would say neutrality.
So fast track a month or two, and I was so excited that I was speaking to Marc. The more and more I found out about him, and I just really, really loved speaking with him. And we seemed to be getting along really well, and we were writing some poetry together. And so somebody got a hold of the fact that I was speaking to Marc, and it got back to, I think, some people who knew him. And so I started getting these people asking me questions like, well, what did Marc call this? And what did Marc um, it was mostly like, what did Marc call this, or what did Marc say when this happened, and things like that. And I was trying so hard because I really wanted to validate or share that Marc was really here with us all. And I really wanted to like pull forward this information, and I really wasn't getting it. And I was so frustrated, and I was like, oh, why can't I do this? And why isn't it coming? And Marc, can't you help me? And so I wish I knew then, of course, what I knew now, but then that isn't how spirit works, and that isn't how you grow doing this work. But when I saw this video that Jamie made, she talks about it, so I'm going to share what she says.
They can answer questions, yes. Can they answer questions correctly? Like if we're looking in terms of mathematics or history, things that are already known, yes. Are they interested in being drilled in that way? No. There's several times when I'm in readings and my client wants to know, hey, what did you used to call me? What was my nickname? Where did we used to go? What was your favorite food? What was your favorite color? Where did you used to live? What kind of car did you drive? What was the song that you played for me in the car the other day? And I think these are beautiful questions. And it is a part of like, I need to make sure it's you. Sometimes their loved one in spirit is like, come on, you're wasting the time trying to validate me. Why can't you just listen to me? I have this moment. I want to communicate with you. I want to make your life better. I want to love on you. But you are taking this mental energy, mind, body, mind, energy, and just driving a hole in this conversation, trying to figure out if it's me or not. So I usually try to tell my clients to just listen to the spirits and listen to their personality. And it's commonly through the personality that you find them and you go, oh my God, that's like my dad always said that. And that's how my dad would have presented that, or that's so them. To me, that means way more than, oh, did they get this question right? So, can they answer things that the channeler themselves does not know? Absolutely. They have access to that information. Will they answer everything that you ask them? Nope.
And it does come around eventually because not too long ago, I got an email from a man who said, I've read every interview that Marc's ever done. I've listened to any interview he's done on tape, and this really sounds like Marc. And sometimes validation is nice, and that's the way Marc and I wanted to present this. It's Marc's really interested in sharing who he was, but not in a factual level. He's interested in sharing what inspired him, what his challenges were being human, and to help us along and to like say that, oh yeah, I remember that. This is what I did. This is what inspired me. But back then, no one was asking me really how Marc felt about anything. They just wanted to know what he called everything. And I understand completely that that would be the easiest way of validating who I was talking to. But, and also, one time I asked Marc, and it's not like they won't give you facts, because one time I did ask Marc, well, how tall were you? Because what I'm reading here, they're saying this. And Marc's like, no, I was this. And I thought, okay, well, that's not what's out there about you. And then probably, I don't know, a year later, I was watching a video with Tony Visconti, and he said what Marc had been telling me all the time. So things like that happen where, you know, you don't get the answer right away, but eventually it'll come to you. And another thing I wanted to talk about was expectations too, when you're working with spirit, because just throw those out the door, whether or not you're channeling or whether or not you're getting a reading. Because I've done a lot of readings, and it could be that some people would come and say, okay, they really wanted to talk, or they were expecting to talk to a certain loved one who'd passed away, and that spirit didn't come through, and they were really disappointed. But somebody else came through and heard or gave them what spirit knew it was better for their higher good at that time to hear. And it may not be apparent to them when they were getting the reading that that's what was going to be most important to them, but they probably found out in a month or two or something like that. So, and I had a lot of expectations too about when I started to channel and how I was going to channel. And it's best just to let things go, let things happen when they do, because it's nothing you can rush. Like Marc tells me all the time, Diane, you can't be where you're not. So I just wanted to pass along some of this information based on my experience, and I hope it rings a bell with all of you. So I just wanted to say as well that if you're interested in channeling spirit or wanting to find out more about this, Jamie is a great resource because she is talking about it. I'm not getting paid for this or anything, but I took her Approaching Trance Channeling course, and I got a lot of information out of it. It's 16 weeks long. I think it's 16 weeks long. And she approaches it from different angles because she says, okay, this is how I do it, but that's not going to be the way you're going to do it. Everyone's going to do it differently, and here are some other options. And actually during the course, Jamie got to speak to Marc just really, really briefly, but that was a thrill. So anyway, she's a great resource. I'll answer any questions about channeling based on my experience that anyone wants to put in the post or on Facebook as well.